Hey, folks. I wanted to take a couple of minutes today to talk about something that it can be a really touchy subject, and we want to be very careful in the way we address it. Something we hear a lot, buyers will say, well, should I write a love letter to the seller? These love letters have become a very popular thing over the last little while. And if you're not familiar with them, it's basically a letter that you write as a buyer to the seller to make the case for why they should take your offer rather than somebody else's. A lot of people include a picture of the family, you got the kids, you got the puppy. And the whole purpose here is to play on the heartstrings, to get to the seller to convince them to sell to you rather than to somebody else who's making an equal or perhaps even objectively a stronger offer. So, what could be the possible downside of a love letter? Well, in fact, there can be downsides, and that's what we need to address. Let's take this step by step. Let's imagine for a moment that you are the seller. You are looking to sell your home. You put it on the market, you've set the price, you've talked with your realtor, you feel good about everything, and then an offer comes in and you recognize that name. You went to school with this guy back in Nebraska because you grew up just down the street from him. Well, now, here's the question for you. Would that affinity for your old friend change the way you look at his offer? Would you look at that and say, well, yeah, I know he's offering a little bit less, but this is an old friend. I'd like to be able to help him out. Oh, that's fine. Nobody is going to have a real problem with that, except for the person that made the better offer, maybe. But it's hard to argue that those feelings don't come into play. But what if there were something else at play? To give you an example, I'd like to read to you what we had written in The Guardian here recently. There's an article relating to a new law in Oregon that as of January 1st, these love letters will be illegal. Why would somebody take that step? Well, the state representative who sponsored this bill is himself a real estate broker. And he said that the goal of this is so that agents can no longer accept communication from the buyer other than customary documents, quote, to help a seller avoid selecting a buyer based on the buyer's race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, national origin, marital status, or familial status, as prohibited by the Fair Housing Act, unquote. Now, think about what that's saying. The idea here, according to the sponsoring lawmaker, is that they want to help sellers avoid making a decision based on specific protected categories that cannot be used in choosing someone. Real estate's had a long history of being involved in things like redlining, where minorities, for example, would be kept out of areas or kept into areas, and houses would not be shown to that group of people. It's dirty business. And you don't want to be the seller who looks at a picture and decides that based on that picture that this person should or should not be living in your home because of one of those protected classes. Now, that's the law. It's not me saying that this is a good thing or a bad thing. That's what the law is. And so we have to recognize that the same way that when our old friend from Nebraska showed up and put in an offer, that can reach our heart, that can motivate us. Well, these other things could as well, because we're all fallible. We need to be aware of that. Now, that law has been contested. There's a suit to block the law. And frankly, I'm not interested in discussion about whether the law is a good thing. The point here is that you need to decide how you're going to respond to love letters. whether you'll write them, whether you'll even read them. Some realtors will simply say, no, I won't accept a love letter. If you give me one, I'm going to take it off the offer because the money, the contract is what matters. And that's what I'm going to present to my seller. Some sellers just reject them outright. They won't even look at them because they know that once they see that puppy, it could cost them $20,000 because they love the looks of that little golden retriever, and they don't want to make those eyes look any sadder than they already do. And so they take a lower offer because their heart gets tied up. It can happen easily. So we want to be clear. This is a legitimate issue. You need to talk with your realtor about it. You want to have a game plan. Maybe make it right up front that we're not accepting them, or be prepared that if you do accept them, that you have to be consciously rejecting anything that could violate one of those protected classes. It's a touchy situation. We're not accusing anybody of anything improper, of any bad motive or anything like that. But you don't want to be in the situation where somebody comes back and claims that you acted in violation of the Fair Housing Act. So just be careful. That's all we're saying. Just be careful. Have that talk with your realtor. Thank y'all. If I can do anything to help you out, if you know somebody that's looking for a realtor, somebody that's thinking of buying or selling, please feel free to share my information. They can reach me at area code 801-556-2259. 801-556-2259.